What's up, guys, girls, fellow wolves, wolvettes, lovets, and hoovits, and hoovians, and whatnots? It's ready for that timey-wimey, weebly-wobbly. Let's get to it. All right, so this particular video is going to be about. Now, before we get started, non-combatant, non-belligerent, educational information only, just your humble host and leader of Lovitica, a micronation with treaty to the United States, lover of the United States of America. Let us begin. All right, so this particular video is called What is the Trading with the Enemy Act? Okay. Now, once again, educational information only. I highly suggest you go to Google or whatever your favorite search engine is, or web slinger, web crawler, and type in Trading with the Enemy Act. Now, this particular act here is a code under the United States and considered by many to constitute a declaration of war made in 1933 against the people of the United States of America, or United States, excuse me, by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Okay? Origin. Documentation by one writer connects the origin of the Trading with the Enemy Act with events of March 27th, 1861. Americans have been under fascist rule via President Executive Order under the Emergency Wars Power Act 12 U.S.C. 95A and B that stated every citizen of the United States is now legally established as an enemy via the Explanatory Act of March 9, 1933, which amended the Trading with the Enemy Act October 6, 1917, H.R. 4960, Public Law number 91. Okay. On March 27th, 1861, 7 southern states walked out of Congress, leaving Congress without a quorum for adjourning and therefore ending since that something they screwed up there. That which called Congress today assembles and acts under the authority of the President, acting in capacity of being Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces under the Emergency Power Rules Act, meaning that there is no law. 12 Statute 319 has never been repealed and exists in Title 50 U.S. Code 212, 213, 215, Appendix 16, 26 CFR 1, 303-1, 6A, and 31 CFR Chapter 5 of Section 500.701, penalties. So there you guys have it. Go look up that information for yourself. So essentially what it is they're saying that if you read through the whole thing, and there's a whole other section, that essentially anybody who they deem to be an enemy of the state because you weren't, well, they deem you to be an enemy. You don't have a treaty in place. You've never mentioned a treaty or being neutral with them, which we always do here on this channel. Or from their perspective, okay, we're going to go a little off script here. If you weren't born in their territory, you don't have an allegiance directly to them. Ergo, anybody who's hypothetically a state citizen, for instance, born in your free land and you weren't born in one of their territories or domiciled in a federal zone, could technically be considered foreign or a possible enemy, because even though you're utilizing some of their benefits and they're providing you some of their services via, we're paying them with our trust, but it's kind of like that guy you didn't grow up with, but you kind of met him midway in life, and he might be a little sketchy. You're not really sure about him. Don't know if you want him hanging out in your house. You know, that's kind of how I look at those people. Us. So the whole thing is that let's take a look at a couple more looks at it here. So this particular section, Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917, or TWEA, 40 Stat 411, codified at 12 USC 95 and 50 USC 4301. Okay. This is a United States federal law. So this is their information. You guys can get right off the line. And essentially, it gives them the power to, because remember, we're still technically in wartime. We have not declared, or they have not declared that they're in a peacetime. So it gives. That's why they're able to do executive orders and whatever else, from my understanding. That being said, so they can control anything that they can control. If they don't want to do business with you, they can cut you off. If you are within their domain, they can confiscate your materials or goods. Now, they're supposed to provide just compensation for anything they take, but as I've read through here, if they view it as, depending on the level that they view that you and your situation, you may not get compensated. They're just going to jack your stuff, right? So, if you go down farther here, it says countries sanctioned under the Trading with the Enemy Act. So there are countries that they're like, we don't want you doing, we're not going to do business with, and we're going to prevent you from having this type of element or resource or whatever. Okay, so let's see. It says, giving them the powers to confiscate property from anyone whose actions might be considered a possible threat to the war effort. Well, if we're still in war mode. All right. So apparently here back in the day, they're just talking about how they took a Bayer Chemical Company over in Germany, and then later on they used it to Executive Order 6102. They forbid the hoarding of gold coin, bullion, gold certificates within the continental United States. Okay, so depending on how you want to interpret that, you can break that down a lot of different ways. But essentially, you guys know what happened. They took us off the gold standard. They're like, we want your gold, and here are these paper FRNs. So, this is only a blurb here. You're going to have to pull the whole, let's see here. Just time we got? Okay, well, a minute or two. Yeah, so here, chapter 53, Trading with the Enemy, kind of breaks it all down. It defines what an enemy is, dealing with property, agents, payments, return of property, payment of debts, taxes, property insurance. So they have a rule for how everything is supposed to be done, okay, underneath this. Any individual, partnership, or other body of individuals of any nationality resident within the territory, including the military and naval forces of any nation with which the United States is at war, or residing outside of the United States. Okay? So then it goes the word ally of an enemy when used here. Basically, it's under the same thing. So yeah, and then it goes into acts prohibited. So there's just a lot, guys. I can't go through the whole thing. I'll be forever. But that's why you always hear me say, you guys call yourselves what you are. non-combatants, neutral. I mean, whatever it is, some of you people out there are forming your own nations, but in your own declarations, do you have, that you're peaceful? Some of you guys got your own channels out there, and y'all like rah rah this, rah rah that. You don't know. People watch this. Okay, they've got AIs that watch and listen to all this information, and they go, "Oh, let's just write down Mr. So and So here. You're on the list." Okay, so declare yourself properly. Put it out there in the public domain so they know who you are. And once again, as I always say, non-combatant, non-belligerent, non-person, friend of the United States, and just an educational, informational person, non-person, living being that I am. Talk to you guys later.